society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen. Clerk, proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Proceed.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Proceed.
Order number 3, messages.
Proceed.
Order number 4, petitions.
Proceed.
Order number 5, papers.
Proceed.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Proceed.
Order number 7, statements.
Proceed.
Order number 8, motion, approval of the report of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on response on a statement of harassment to the public by microfinance institutions.
Thank you. Under this one, we have 2 motions. The first one will be presided over by Honorable Peter Kilonzo. Honorable Peter Kilonzo.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Motion on approval of report of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on response on statement of harassment to the public by microfinance institutions. Honorable Speaker, that aware that the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs is a select committee which draws its mandate from Machakos County Standing Order 190 of the second schedule, which defines its mandate as follows: to deal with all constitutional affairs, the administration of law and justice, including the elections, ethics, integrity, and anti-corruption and human rights. Aware that Article 231 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as read together with the Microfinance Act of 2006 of Parliament and another relevant laws, provides for the licensing, regulation, and supervision of microfinance business and for the connected purposes. Noting that pursuant to Standing Order 41, a statement on institutions masquerading as microfinance institutions and loaning members of the public monies and later auctioning their property was sought in this House on 18th October 2022, I referred to Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move the motion that this Honorable House approves the report of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on harassment of members of the public by microfinance institutions in Matu. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I now call upon Honorable Vincent to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand here to second the motion that is being presented before this House in regards to the harassment by the purported microfinances in Matu area. This is a measure of deterrence, not just to those that are operating in that particular area, but any other area within our county. We are not against people doing business, but we want to promote the rule of law. Let people do business within the confines of law. I second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. You can now proceed with the executive summary for the report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mheshimiwa Vincent, for seconding the motion. With me, I have the executive summary, which is drawn from the conclusive report that we have written concerning the matter, and I wish to prosecute the matter. Honorable Speaker, there has been an outcry from members of the public concerning the harassment by the lending institutions and masquerading as microfinance institutions. Borrowers then end up taking money from these institutions and at some point are not able to pay their loans on time due to financial constraints at a time when their businesses are hard hit by the economic times. This has meant the lending institutions take advantage and have resorted to taking to advanced methods of recovery by forcibly confiscating the client's properties. Mr. Speaker, on 18th October 2022, during the morning plenary sitting, a statement on harassment of members of public by microfinance institution was sought to inquire on the following grounds. One, what the national and county government is doing to ensure that the residents of Machakos are safeguarded from persons and institutions masquerading as microfinance institutions by loaning the residents monies and later auctioneering their property. Two, whether the institutions pay business licenses to county treasury, and if so, what measures is the county government taking to protect Mwananchi? Mr. Speaker, the above statement was committed to Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to respond back to the House in 14 days. Further, due to the complexity of the matter, the committee sought an extension through a motion on 8 November 2022 and was given a further 14 days to report back to the House on 6 December 2022. We have the legal framework, Honorable Speaker. In undertaking its mandate, the committee relied on the following laws, among others. One, the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Two, Microfinance Act 2006. Three, the Movable Property Security Rights Act 2017. The Law of Contract Act, Cap 23 Laws of Kenya, the Banking Act, Cap 488 Laws of Kenya, County Assembly's Power and Privileges Act 2012, County Assemblies of Machakos Standing Orders, and last but not the least, Companies Act 2015. Matters under consideration. Honorable Speaker, the committee in the course of its interrogation process focused on three issues, namely, one, whether the microfinance institutions are operating within the law. Two, whether confiscation of borrowers' assets is within the law. Three, harassment of borrowers by microfinance institutions. The inquiry into the matters of harassment of members of the public microfinance institutions. Honorable Speaker, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee conducted a site visit to Matu on 1st November 2022 to meet the complainants as well as the microfinance institutions on the concerns raised there above. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed the following. One, that some of the complainants indicated that the institution signed contracts or agreements within them and are not taken through the terms and the conditions thereof to understand the seriousness of such undertaking. That proper channel of debt recovery not followed by the led institutions, hence use of unethical means leading to infringement of borrowers' rights. 3, that some of the items that were forcibly collected from the complainants were never listed as collateral. 4, the items collected from the defaulters as collateral were way above the cost of the loans plus interest.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
I just want to draw to your attention that the report that have been circulated to us is not what is being read. Huh?
He's reading the executive summary.
I'm holding what has been provided. Huh? Yes, this is Mwala. We are supposed to be talking about Matu.
Okay, sorry for that. I think they are going to correct that. Okay, I think we can now proceed.
So maybe Chairman, you direct the Chairman to show us which bench now, because you don't need to go back where you are, so that you can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Ndawa, for that keen observation. Mr. Speaker, I wish to continue from where I stopped. I was at the inquiry into the matters of harassment of members of the public by microfinance institutions, and I was at the observations of the committee number 5. Observations, committee number 5. When collecting the items from the complainants, the microfinance institutions use excessive force and end up breaking items from the victims' households, and in some instances injuring the complainants. 6, the committee noted that while collecting these items, proper channels are not used, like use of court orders or being accompanied by the police to execute the court order. 7, the microfinance institutions collected loan defaulters' items against the instruction given thereof, a letter of no objection issued by Central Bank of Kenya, which states that the institutions cannot take cash collateral, security, form of borrowers, which will contravene Microfinance Act 206. 8, Simple Pay Capital Limited and the newer Capital Limited have been using the letter of no objection for purposes of transacting businesses contrary to instructions through a letter issued to them by Central Bank stating that they can only use the letter for registration purposes and not to transact any business. Responses by the Chief Officer Finance and Revenue Collection. Honorable Speaker, the committee wishes to notify this House that it interrogated the responses by the Chief Officer Department Finance and Revenue Collection on the assignment task, and the following was the response. On the issue of what the national and county governments are doing to ensure that the residents of Machakos are safeguarded from the persons and institutions masquerading as microfinance institutions by loaning the residents monies and later auctioning their property. This was the response. Chief Officer Department of Finance and Revenue Collection responded that only that the microfinance institutions are providing loans to the underprivileged people and mostly women to start new businesses. They also have a lot of consumption needs. He further indicated that the county government has a very strong monitoring systems to ensure that the loan amounts are not being misused by engaging in public participation meetings within the county. The monitoring system not only ensures the repayment but sensitizes the public on being responsible citizens. Further, guidance and counseling sessions also help them to start income-generating ventures to protect them from the debt trap. To avoid misuses of microfinance institutions, the county government has to organize series of continuous clients awareness and financial literacy programs and to incorporate spouses in decision making. This is important to understand that microfinance is a tool for directly reducing poverty and to create awareness among a female section of our society at the bottom of the pyramid. Citizens must be taught not to apply for loans to repay debts. By providing material capital to a poor person, their sense of dignity is strengthened and restored. Therefore, the county government will deal with masquerading gangs, masquerading as microfinance institutions ruthlessly, because genuine-led institutions play a critical role in nation building. Roman 2, on payment of business licenses to the county treasury and measures taken by county government in protecting mwananchi from exploitation by microfinance institutions. Further response, Chief Officer, Department of Finance and Revenue Collection responded that leading institutions pay business licenses to county government according to the Machakos County Finance Act 2018. Leading institutions is a revolution for the entire society to work and strive to wipe out poverty from our society, and by extension, we have series of continuous assessment and enforcement of business operating in Machakos County to make sure all revenue policies are adhered to. Poverty is a complex issue and is difficult to define, as there are various dimensions to poverty. He further informed the committee that the county government treats all concerns from members of the public once it is reported with dignity, and any stakeholder found to be flouting laid down procedures dealt with accordingly, where withdrawing the trade licenses issued by the county government becomes inevitable. Mr. Speaker, further, the Chief Officer of Finance and Revenue Collection informed the committee through response that before any business permit, they inquire and carry out a thorough background check by requesting all the clients to fill a form and attach the following request documents and information. 1, registered business name, fiscal address, business identification number, copy of certificate of incorporation, national ID or passport, alien ID, phone number, value and tax compliance, and Kenya Revenue Authority PIN number, postal address. After submission to the office, the licensing officer visits the business premises within a day to carry out inspections. The information obtained by the inspection visit determines the fees to charge for permit and eligibility of the applicant. Therefore, if a business is granted permission by specific government entities and its activities are anchored in the law, their mandate is limited both in operations and the scope. These are the committee findings, Honorable Speaker. The committee found the following. 1, Simple Pay Capital Limited and Newark Capital Limited have not complied with Movable Property Securities Act 2017 that requires all collateral be registered on the collateral e-registry. 2, failure to comply with the Movable Property Security Rights Act 2017, the company and all the microfinance institutions have no legal basis to take possession of any movable asset as used as collateral upon default. 3, the microfinance institutions have not been suing the borrowers so as to get court orders allowing them to attach any of the borrower's assets. 4, misrepresentation by microfinance institutions by either giving false or misleading information on the nature of the businesses. 5, confiscation of the assets was done illegally. 6, members of the public lack proper guidance and information on financial literacy in as far as borrowing of loans is concerned. The following are the committee recommendations. Honorable Speaker, considering the gravity of the matter at hand, the committee recommends as following. 1, Simple Pay Capital Limited, Newark Capital Limited, and any other microfinance institutions operating within Machakos County shall not undertake debt recovery without court orders. 2, Simple Pay Capital Limited, Newer Capital Limited, and another microfinance institutions who have confiscated assets without court orders from borrowers should return all the assets to borrowers within 7 days. 3, the County Government Department of Finance and Revenue Collection, together with the Department of Trade, Economic Planning, and Industrialization, to liaise or collaborate with the county security agencies to inform the police across the county of the ongoing harassment and ensure borrowers are not harassed by Simple Pay Capital Limited, Newer Capital Limited, and other microfinance institutions operating within Machakos. 4, the County Government Department of Finance and Trade to keep a database of all microfinance institutions operating within Machakos and create awareness to members of the public on prudent borrowing. 5, the County Government Department of Finance and the Revenue Collection, together with the Department of Trade, Economic Planning, and Industrialization, to ensure all microfinance institutions are properly registered or licensed, and consider withdrawing the trading licenses for companies operating illegally. The County Commissioner to ensure, 1, investigations are done and all assets that were illegally confiscated from borrowers in Matu, Yata Sub-County by Simple Pay Capital Limited and Newer Capital Limited are returned, and ensure that the allegations of harassment of borrowers by staff members of Simple Pay Capital Limited, Newer Capital Limited, and other microfinance institutions operating within Machakos County are investigated and perpetrators prosecuted and brought to the book. 7, the committee recommends that the county government, through Department of Finance and Revenue Collection, to set up a fund to assist members of the public to access soft loans to boost their businesses. Conclusion and an acknowledgement. Honorable Speaker, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee appreciates the assistance provided by the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk of the County Assembly during preparation of this report. I would like to express my gratitude to honorable members of the committee who gave their time and shared their expertise in drafting this report. Mr. Speaker, it is thus my duty to table this report to this honorable House for adoption on response to a statement on harassment of the public by microfinance institutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Peter Kilonzo. And I now propose the question that this House discusses and approves the report of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on response on a statement of harassment to the public and microfinance institutions. And now I invite members to debate. Honorable Ellen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand as Vice Chair of this committee and as a member of the same committee to support the report and to say that the report is very well researched, and I recommend that whatever recommendations the committee has done be taken seriously. During the deliberations of the committee, I noticed that most of the people affected are women. And this is very serious because the women seem to have taken over in terms of running households. And I'm sure a few of them have been taking loans to be able to cushion or to pay household activities or responsibilities. I am very happy with the recommendation number 7, where we are requesting the county government to set aside some funds where these women can be able to access funds at attractive rates. And as the chair of the Women Caucus also, I would request the other ladies in the House to make this as one of our subject matter, where we can now collaborate with our governor and see how we can come up with the solutions to these issues. Otherwise, I'm fully in support of this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Paul Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was almost forgetting. I was about to say, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand here as a member of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, and I wish to support the report on the rogue lenders and state that this is not a problem of Matu alone. It's a problem that the whole county finds itself in. It's a problem that the whole country finds itself in. And Mr. Speaker, going by the current happenings in this country, you also note that the hustler himself has gone forward to further include his own lending tool to this country. One, I wish to note that lenders are very good injectors of capital for those who want to do business, for those who want to do development. And without loans, without capital from lenders, most businesses, most SMEs would not be running. However, Mr. Speaker, I wish to note that in as much as these lenders are good for our economic development, they need to follow due process of law. They need to follow the lending principles, and they need to be kind at least to our people who may not be very well informed about lending processes. Mr. Speaker, in as much as we want economic development, my main point on this was that the process through which they recover their monies from our people is gangster-like, is not professional, and that is the reason why I support Mr. Honorable Ndawa's statement, because you will not come to my house, take property worth 100,000 when I borrowed from you 10,000 shillings. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. However, as a house, as the elite of Machakos County, we also need to educate our people on the need for prudent borrowing. So I call upon this house, wherever we go, let's tell our people to do prudent borrowing, because I've seen women who borrow to buy dresses, women who borrow to buy unga for chapati, and other trivial things. So, Mr. Speaker, I would advise Ndawa, Mheshimiwa Ndawa and other members, even as we implement the recommendations of this committee, let us also educate our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Paul. Honorable Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to recommend the work done by this committee, the Legal and Justice Affairs Committee. This is a very good work. Loans or this institution, when they come to the counties, they should be able to help the members of the public with the need that they need, let's say, finances to help their businesses. But when those loans turn to be abandoned, or the way they are doing their work in recovering the loans, like here I've seen the committee findings number 6. Members of the public lack proper guidance and information on financial literacy. And then again, I find that the microfinances institutions, they operate by giving false and misleading information. And when it comes to recovery of the loans, they don't go through a court process to recover their money. Then it is the work of the county government and this house to protect the members of the public by ensuring these institutions follow the law. In as much as we want them to invest in our county, we can't allow them to affect our members, because there's no need you take a loan of 20,000, your properties worth, let's say 100,000 are taken, those citizens will be taken into deep depression. Then that loan has no purpose to them. So the recommendation that have been given by this committee, especially the recommendation number 7, the national government seems to have started this process of giving soft loans. In as much as the limit is too low, we will have the same requests for our county. If such a kitty can be there to be giving our members, and also the members of the executive, especially the Department of, Trade, to educate our members on this loan, because they are suffering because they do not have much information how these interests are taken. Or they understand how the loans are, the recovery process should be taken. Because when your properties are taken and they do not match your loan, the members of the public should be educated as well. They can take a legal process for those companies that are taking their properties. Mr. Speaker, I support this report, and I wish to request that our follow-ups to be done so that all the recommendations that have been given here will be implemented. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Lloyd. Honorable D. Kivuva.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to recommend the Justice Committee for the well-done job, because most of the families affected fall under my marginalized group I represent here. So for the first time since I joined this parliament, my people are being protected. And I must, I must commend the committee. Secondly, because most of the report is good, my issue is on committee recommendations number 5. Which says, and I quote, the county government, Department of Finance and Revenue Collection, together with the Department of Trade, Economic Planning and Industrialization, to ensure all microfinance institutions are properly registered or licensed, and consider withdrawing the trading licenses for companies operating illegally. My simple worry is this. It seems some of the microfinances have been operating with licenses issued by our officers in the county government. Because in the first place, how did they get the trade licenses? So, although the committee has finalized, but it's also good we pursue the officers who have been erroneously or after being bribed to give the licenses to these microfinances. So the other side of the coin, let's go for officers who have been giving the licenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable D. Honorable Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to identify myself with this report, having been a member of this committee and very much involved in in preparing this report. The subject that we are handling is a delicate subject because we are dealing with people who injected private capital in our economy. We are dealing with people who have, they came to do business. And indeed, we cannot say that this capital is unwelcome. This capital, whereas it has helped other people to grow, other people also have suffered in the hands of the same people. Our concern mainly is when you give money to someone and it has come to a point when you have to recover that money. As the statement was sought, it was about harassment during recovery. Actually, the problem is these microfinances were using unorthodox means to recover their money. Where they come to a house, they carry everything, literally, because someone was unable to pay 10,000 shillings. Now, when they carry sofa sets, they carry TVs, they carry hoovers, the only thing they don't carry is babies. And if there was an opportunity to sell babies, they would have taken them. What we are processing in this house is a measure of deterrence, so that when people come to do business, they can do business with decorum. We do not want a case whereby our people who elected us are going to suffer, maybe because they were ignorant, or maybe someone was taking advantage of their ignorance. We cannot justify and say because our people are not informed, then that is a leeway for them to be harassed. The county government should provide that understanding. That is why we are recommending that there should be a program from the county government to help our people understand the importance of prudent borrowing. The importance of borrowing, not just for the sake of borrowing, but to borrow and take this money to the reason and to spend this money in the reason that you borrowed it for. And also to help these people who are giving out this money know that as much as you want to do business, you have to do it within the presence of law. If you are to recover from someone, then you cannot just say, you cannot become the law yourself. The problem with these people, they decided to become lenders, and they also decided to become law themselves, whereby they go and take property from people because they are supposed to pay them their money. Secondly, we need also to encourage the county government. There was, as the governor gave us her speech, she indicated that she will create something she called the Wikwatio Fund. I think this pains. It's something that the governor need to look at and understand that the reason as to why our people are suffering is because they need money, and if she can provide that money, the better for them. It is better for our people to borrow from their government than to borrow from people who end up harassing them later. Finally, also, our assembly has a responsibility. And the responsibility that we have, Mr. Speaker, is to help our people. Let us grow together with our people. Let us educate them. Let us show them the importance of not just borrowing, but also saving. Because the moment you grow your capital, then you reach a point where you will not need to borrow for basic needs within your business. Let people know that you don't borrow to buy food. You don't borrow to buy clothes. You don't borrow to go for an outing with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You borrow to invest. And the moment you borrow to invest, that investment will grow, and at some point you will be debt free. I support this report, and I welcome this House to support this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vincent. Honorable Dawa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Judas Dawa, the area MCA Matu, where this problem is. Honorable Speaker, I will start by thanking our most able chair, Honorable Kilonzo from Bioni Ward, and the committee for taking this matter seriously. Honorable Speaker, I want to confirm here that the members of that Legal and Justice Committee are people of sober minds. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the report. And I'm supporting the report because I'm interested to affected party. Because Matu is being mentioned here. Honorable Speaker, the County Assembly is the highest decision-making organ in the county. And if the Assembly does not take collective measures to tame these robbers, because I want to use the word robbers, and the reason why I'm calling them robbers, what we call robbery with violence is whereby somebody goes to somebody, try to threaten or to scare him or her, then he takes property from him. That is the clear definition of robbery with violence. Honorable Speaker, our police have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of resources looking for thugs. We are now showing some thugs. The Assembly or the Committee on Justice has made the work to be easier for the police now to go for this. There is no way, Honorable Speaker, we will allow our people to suffer what we call injuria sindamnam. This is a Latin word. We call it injuria sindamnam. It is a Latin word which means one has suffered injuries and at the same time he has suffered damages. Honorable Speaker, when this microfinance goes to somebody's house, and maybe that particular person try to resist the removal of the household from the house, these goons, I'm calling them goons, they assault those borrowers. I have a case which was reported in Batu police station. And because these people have money, it was changed to be opposite. It was reported that the borrower is the one who assaulted these goons. Honorable Speaker, it is not possible for 4 men plus one lady to be assaulted by one expectant lady. That one is not acceptable at all and is not possible. Honorable Speaker, I would have requested the committee also to recommend that the charge which was referred for that particular lady be discharged from court, because it's a matter which has got no basis. It's just publication. Honorable Speaker, I have 4 issues that I want to air here. The matter before House is what we call, it lies under what we call law of contract. And Honorable Speaker, there are some essentials that needs to be met for a contract to be valid. Essential number 1 is offer and acceptance. Essential number 2 is consideration. Essential number 3 is what we call capacity. And essential the last one, is a written binding document that will bind the 2 parties. Honorable Speaker, that binding document is what we call agreement. And that is where I'm basing my argument. Honorable Speaker, we have two types of agreement. We have a liquidated agreement and non-liquidated agreement. Non-liquidated agreement is whereby somebody tells another one, give me 1,000. And that particular person gives the 1,000. And they don't say, if you don't pay, this is what will happen. That is what we call non-liquidated agreement. The other type of agreement is liquidated agreement. Honorable Speaker, this is whereby you agree, I'll give you this, and if you don't return, this is what will happen. Honorable Speaker, that can only be enforced when one party has gone to court and sought for authority to come and attach those properties that were mentioned in the agreement. Honorable Speaker, the report is very clear. The escalating microfinance, because up to date I have not confirmed whether they are proper microfinance institutions. They try to bypass or to usurp powers that they do not have. Instead of going to court, so that the court can allow for the goods to be taken, then when the court allows, it is not the officers from the microfinance who can execute that. We have debt collectors who has the legal capacity to do so, not everybody. And that is the auctioneers. And auctioneers cannot come and take somebody's table, sofa set, and take it to the lender. The lender lended money, not items. The auctioneers will go and sell those, dispose those items, and take the money to the owner. Honorable Speaker, this is what we call robbery with violence, and it should not be allowed to continue in our country. Honorable Speaker, I have information that most of the microfinance institutions that are operating in Matu were chased from another county. I don't want to say which county because they may say I'm interfering with their movement. But I have information that they just located Matu after they were chased from another county. And let it go on record that they are also on transit, because we will not allow anybody to come and try to threaten and rob our people. If you give 10,000 and you're going to collect property worth 150, that is robbery. Honorable Speaker, there is a motorbike worth 150,000, which was taken by this Newark because of 10,000. It was not 10,000, it's 8,000. They are still giving the motorbike. The owner of the motorbike bought it on credit. He's supposed to be paying the seller of the motorbike. And now he cannot make use of the motorbike. I was requesting if the committee can also recommend that the microfinance pay for what we call loss of use. Loss of use. They have made that particular person not to use the motorbike that he bought to be assisting him. I want to commend the committee for this good job and request this honorable House Speaker, you make determination and advise the table office and also the office of the clerk. Let this decision be communicated within the shortest time possible so that our people can be now happy and they can be able to operate without fear. I want to draw to your attention that we have members of public, all these borrowers, who have relocated or who have transferred their goods, household goods, from their matrimonial house to hide somewhere else for fear of these people. Now I have a lady who is going limping. Limping. She has a backache. When I asked her, what is the problem? She told me, Mheshimiwa, I've been sleeping on the floor. The second question was, where is your bed? She told me that she located the bed for fear of this honorable, for these goods. Honorable Speaker, I want to request this House to approve the report. Lastly, there is issue of sexual harassment by officers who go to confiscate these goods. We have reports from our electorate that these young ladies are being asked for sexual favors so that they can be allowed at least 1 week to look for money. Somebody want to sleep with you today so that he can give you a leave of 1 week. That is something which is not acceptable in this county. It should not be allowed at all, at all, at all, at all. Honorable Speaker, I support the report and request that the county commissioner, who has the mandate to manage matters of security in the county, because she is just the county security committee, I'm just requesting that she takes up the matter and communicate down to the deputy county commissioners and the SECs and the chiefs and the sub-county commanders so that this decision of the House can be implemented and can be adhered to. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minority Leader. I now call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to thank honorable members for that deliberation on this report. And Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that these non-deposit taking microfinance institutions are not regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. And there was a case that was here at Machakos High Court that they challenged the amendment of Banking Act that now and required them to be regulated by Central Bank of Kenya. However, our issue that has been well pronounced is the conduct into which these microfinance institutions, and firstly mentioned Simple Pay and Newark, have been conducting their business at Matu. Mr. Speaker, if you have noted keenly that these people, they go ahead and they use excessive force when taking these properties. And they contravene the Movable Properties Act, which requires before you to take any collateral, it must be registered. That provision is even the e-citizen. And these institutions, they are not taking that into consideration. Mr. Speaker, under the law of equity, who needs equity must also do equity, and whoever needs equity must also come with the clean hands. The recommendations which we have given upon a proper investigation of the matter, Mr. Speaker, it should be enforced so that now the people at Matu can also rejoice. I also want to say, Mr. Speaker, this issue even cuts across to the whole of Machakos County. It is in Mbuyuni and every other ward. I want to pursue the members of this assembly that we adopt this report, because what is happening to Mheshimiwa Ndawa is also happening to your ward, and they will send a signal to those institutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Peter. I now put the question that this House discusses and approves the report of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee on response on a statement of harassment to the public by microfinance institution. As many as are of the opinion say yes, and as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. Thank you, honorable members, and I want to believe the table clerk will share these resolutions of assembly to the relevant departments. Thank you. Clerk, we can proceed.
Order number 9, motion. Approval of report of PAIC on financial statements of Mwala Water Company for the year ended June 2019.
Yeah, thank you. And this one, I call upon Honorable Philip Dolo to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Ruth Wanjiro. Vice Chair of the Public Accounts and Investment Committee. Honorable Speaker, that aware that Article 229, Sub-Article 5 of the Constitution provides that the Auditor General may audit and report on the accounts of any entity that is funded from public funds. Further aware that Article 229, Sub-Article 7 of the Constitution that provides that audit reports shall be submitted to Parliament or the relevant county assembly. Cognizant that the audit report on financial statements of Mwala Water and Sewerage Company for the year ended 30th June 2019 was received in the assembly pursuant to Article 229, Sub-Article 7 of the Constitution. Further aware that the report was committed to the Public Accounts and Investments Committee pursuant to Standing Order 185, Sub-Order 2, B and C, which states that the Public Accounts and Investments Committee shall be responsible for examination of reports, accounts, and workings of the public investments, and whether the affairs of the public investments are being managed in accordance with sound financial or business principles and prudent commercial practices. Aware that the committee, after receipt of the report, conducted several meetings and consequently compiled a report. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move the motion that this House approves the report of Public Accounts and Investments Committee on financial statements of Mwala Water and Sewerage Company for the year ended 30th June 2019. Honorable Speaker, I wish to call Honorable Irene to second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the motion.
Thank you. I now propose the question that this House discusses and approves the report of PIC on financial statements of Mwala Water Company for the year ended June 2019. Honorable members, you can now debate the motion. Sorry. Yeah, you you can first read the executive summary. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to go through the executive summary, and it has been availed for every member, I believe. Honorable Speaker, this report on the financial statements of Mwala Water and Sewerage Company for the year ended June 2019 was received in the Assembly in February 2022 pursuant to Article 229, Sub-Article 7 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, this report should have been received in the Assembly latest by end of January 2020, hence the report was late by 2 years. This is in contravention of Section 48, Subsection 1 of the Public Audit Act 2015 that requires the Auditor General to audit and report on accounts audited 6 months after the end of the fiscal year in question. The report was committed to Public Accounts and Investments Committee pursuant to Standing Order number 185, Sub-Order 2, B and C, and the report had a qualified opinion. The queries raised in the report by the Auditor General include undisclosed uncertainty relating to going concern. Number 2, inaccuracies in the financial statements. Number 3, trade and other receivables. And number 4, unpaid share capital. The committee, while exercising its mandate, scrutinized the queries and observed that, number 1, query on undisclosed uncertainty relating to going concern. A, the company is making losses due to high cost of production, particularly on high electricity bills and low water sales. B, this state of affairs is leading the company to a state of insolvency, and if the county government does not come in, the company is likely to close down water service provision to the residents of Mwala, let me do that again, part B. This state of affairs is leading the company to a state of insolvency, and if the county government does not come in, the company is likely going to close down, and water service provision to the residents of Mwala will be highly affected. C, the committee scrutinized on the qualifications of the management board and noted that most of the members do not have requisite expertise to propel the company into better performance and offering of satisfactory services. The committee recommends that the company should come up with strategies to reduce their losses as well as to increase their income in order to reduce its dependency on funding from the county government. Also, the company should establish any illegal connections that might be contributing to the high company loss and address the illegalities. Further, the county government should allocate funds to clear the existing huge electricity bill, since the company is unable to pay for electricity expenditures. Query number 2, query on inaccuracies in the financial statements. The inaccuracies in the financial statements were associated with the low qualification of accountants, since the company in its current financial status is not capable of employing certified accountants, as confirmed by the accounting officer during the interrogation exercise. On this query, the committee recommends that the County Department of Finance should second qualified accountants to this water company to assist in preparation of financial statements and also streamline bookkeeping matters of the company. Query 3, query on trade and other receivables. The huge debt of 4,699,428 resulting from unpaid water bills is a contributor to the uncertainty relating to the going concern for the company. Hence, it's a matter that needs immediate action. B, the engagement forums that the company held with the assistance of the local administration will have less significance as regards payment of the stated debts, given the fact that the debtors have an alternative free water provided by the county government. The committee on this query recommends that the company should develop a 3-year debt policy to guide on enforcement procedures of debt collection, undertake debt analysis to determine debts that are payable and bad debts, then invoke stringent measures to collect the outstanding payable debts by engaging a debt collector to ensure that the recoverable amount is collected. The company should enforce water disconnection to customers who have long outstanding bills. Query 4, the last one, query on unpaid share capital. The share capital of 100,000 has not been paid by the county government to the company because the company has not concluded the process of preparing its ownership documents. The committee recommends that the accounting officer, with the assistance of county legal office, should finalize the preparation of the ownership documents, after which they should be forwarded to the relevant office for implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ruth. I now propose the question that this House discusses and approves the report of Public Accounts and Investment Committee on financial statements of Mwala Water Company for the year ended June 2019. Honorable members, you can now debate. Yes, Honorable Peter Kalonzo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for granting me this opportunity to contribute on the report of this Public Accounts Investment Committee. I understand that the issue is about the ongoing activities in Mwala Sewage and Water Company, whereby from the report we are seeing that this company is making losses. And what is devastating is the fact that the company has incurred debts, even making the company operations not be smooth and making the company operations to be limited. I understand that we have the boards which are given the mandate to run this company. And I've seen the recommendation that this committee recommends that the board of Mwala Water and Company be reviewed. The membership board of Mwala Water, if at companies to improve, to be reviewed, if they at any given time envisage for this company to improve on its current state. Mr. Speaker, the county government will not have the work of at all time funding these companies. The company should come up with mechanisms on how they can raise up the money. The issues of these debts accruing from paid-in bills. If we continue funding this company from the county coffers, it means that these people, the board members, they will not have the mandate to ensure that this company runs well, because they know by the end of the day, the county government will have to chip in and mitigate the harshness that is coming from these bills. Mr. Speaker, I support this report and also say that the recommendations, they are good as pertains the issues and the queries that have been raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Caro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Caroline Mutuku, Special Elect Maendeleo Chapchap. I'm part of the committee that did the report. We looked at, as the report has been tabled by Honorable Ruth, it was meant to be tabled in the House in the year 2020. So it had already been, the fact findings had already been done by the Auditor General, and the sitting had already been done. We just did the recommendations, and all in all, Mr. Speaker, the cost of electricity is too high compared to the water tariff, and the water tariff cannot change. So it is the company to see how they can get other sources of electricity, be it using solar panels or something else. That will bring down the cost of the production, which is very high. And also, as you have seen, as it has been reported also, Mr. Speaker, there's also financial statements, the errors that occur in the financial statements, which are brought about by incapacity of the accountants. Having low electricity tariffs, rather costs, will bring out profits, if I may say so, whereby you can get accountants who have capacity to do correct financial statements. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I may support the recommendations of this committee, but before I do that, I wish to make several observations, and one of them is the fact that we are reviewing financial statements which were prepared by unqualified persons. As an accountant, those are just records, but because these have been reviewed by the Auditor General, then we shall, for now, rely on them. The second observation is that this company has been 2 years late in submitting their accounts. They were supposed to submit this in the year 2020, and we are in the year 2023, actually, because 2022 is almost over. So such inefficiencies is what is ailing our public institutions. Mr. Speaker, we are going back to the era of Kikomis, the era of KMC when it was being run by normal Kenyans, not now that when it's being run by the military. We are going back to the era where public institutions were run down for the benefit of a few. And I would recommend that, and this house has that duty to ensure that we start doing things for the public that we serve, not for our own interests. We start looking for new innovative ways of getting solutions for our people. And I want to thank my MP, the Honorable Vincent Musyoka Kawaya himself, who is doing a power generating plant at the river to enable the Kibaoni ward and other nearby wards cut down on electricity costs. Because without these innovations, then these water companies will be pulled down by water bills. Mr. Speaker, we have no shortage of professionals to run these companies in Machakos and in Mwala, to be specific. And I wonder why today we don't have qualified people who are supposed to run this company. Mr. Speaker, I support the report and ask the executive to move with speed and work very fast on the replacement of the human capital there, and ensure that we have proper people leading the institution. Finally, I support the committee in calling for installation of alternative sources of power, including solar power, and probably we would also think about wind power and working with people like Mheshimiwa Vincent Musyoka to see if there are ways in which we can generate our own power to pump water. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you. Honorable Bova.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for affording me an opportunity as well to contribute on this report. Myself being a member of that committee which came up with the report. Mr. Speaker, there is a worrying trend in our country, especially in the management of public sector entities. Mr. Speaker, when you listen and you read through this report, it projects an entity which is making losses and which does not even look as if it can change its status anytime soon. It is projecting an image of continuing to make loss. Mr. Speaker, people who own their small water projects, commercial water projects, they will tell you they are working profitably. People who own boreholes, private boreholes, an individual owning a private borehole and just serving a particular village will tell you he is a millionaire from that enterprise. But an institution, an entity which is managing water with a huge area of coverage, clientele, facilitation, infrastructure, cannot make profit. It is because of poor governance. And one of the reasons we are coming to this point, it is even, when you listen to our report, it is highlighting incompetent workforce. To the extent even the person who is supposed to reconcile accounts he is not qualified. It shows he doesn't have the qualification. The problem first is getting people into responsibilities and into offices they don't qualify. My thoughts, for us to turn around some of these institutions and like Mwala Water and Sewerage Company, is to do an overhaul. What business will the government of Machakos be having injecting capital to people who are going to mismanage even what we are going to inject? We need to do an overhaul and see if there are incompetent people in offices, we get rid of them. Maybe they can be deployed into other areas which are not so critical, if it is so allows. Mr. Speaker, there is also an issue of people not taking, lack of commitment when it comes to management of public entities. Some of these people who run down institutions, public institutions, they manage very well their businesses. They manage very well their businesses. You will go and find this director who has run down this company owns a very successful private enterprise. And they cannot transfer that expertise and experience in the public service, because public service, there is no commitment. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this report 100%. And let it be a moment that this House begins to think, because now we are dealing with Mwala. In my committee, in that committee where I also sit, I know there are bulk of reports coming. I'm afraid we may be having a streak of similar reports. So you ask yourself, how far can we go? Would we be suggesting that each year we will be setting aside funds to allocate to non-performing entities? Can we possibly be making it an agenda item year in, year out? I beg no. So, Mr. Speaker, kindly, that is my submission, that we look at the governance, the qualification of the people we are putting in this responsibility. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Buva. Honorable Ellen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is just one observation that we are talking about low water cells. It's contradicting. We very well know that in Machakos we lack water, including even within the town. How can this company not be able to sell water? They need to ask themselves, what is it? Are they overcharging? Do they have water? Or, I mean, I don't know where that really was put, why this was put in this report, because it's contradicting what we know is happening in our county. So I support my colleague, Mheshimiwa Mbuva. It's management. All this boils down to poor management, prudence management of these water companies. So it is the high time the water department of our county develops some teeth to bite these people who are playing around with the water companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Katiti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the mover of the motion and the committee that was entitled to take to bring these things to the House. One thing I want to say, if you employ somebody who is incompetent, then you are likely to get the wrong results. It's like if you do the wrong diagnosis, then you are likely to administer the wrong prescriptions. So this kind of incompetence should not be allowed in Mwala and even in Machakos County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Mheshimiwa Minority Leader, just briefly, then the mover can reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will be very brief, and I will just give only 2 issues. Item number 1, the issue which is in Mwala is also in Yata, is also in other areas, because they are water companies. One of the reasons why they are getting these losses is because they are using Imaginate imaginate meters. What do I mean? Defective water meters. The meters which were put there over a decade ago are the same meters. Some are leaking and others are moving even when there is no water. So when you come to read the meter, you will find that it has moved from 001 to 050. And at that particular time, no drop of water. That one will go as a debt to the consumer. Honorable Speaker, as we try to address the issue, and as well as we try to give the issue of incompetence, let us also address this issue of meters. If we can have new meters which are functional, that will solve problem. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, the boards that manage water do not have autonomy. Since the companies are owned by the county, the person who is sitting there is the MD. The chairperson and the board members will be getting instruction from other areas, and they might be asked to forward some amounts of money. And if you know the consequences if they don't. So if we can also give them autonomy to operate without interference from other quarters, I think that will solve the problem. Then lastly, Honorable Speaker, this is a report of 2019. We are in 2022. We are breaking today to come 2023. When shall we have the report of 2022? That means 2022 will be discussed by the other assembly that will come, the fourth assembly. So, Honorable Speaker, I would request if we can advise whoever owns these accounts to move with the speed so that at least we can debate on something that we are aware of. Because 2019, that is a gone assembly. This is another assembly. So if we can ensure that at least we discuss things that are within our sessions. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Minority Leader. The mover, I now call the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. And an investment is an activity or a service that is supposed to bring in returns. So an investment cannot operate under losses year in, year out. And in this day and age, I believe the market is flooded with qualified accountants and the like. So it is prudent that we do what needs to be done. We should not be talking about mismanagement at this point in time. We should not be talking about unqualified personnel in this day and time. We should be talking about profits and enlargement and expansion of these companies. Water is an essential commodity, so we cannot talk about shutting down the companies. All we need to do is improve on what is already there, change what needs to be changed, and I know these companies can operate at a profit. Lastly, I would like to thank the honorable members for your contribution and input on this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. I now put the question that this House discusses and approves the report of Public Accounts and Investment Committee on financial statements of Mwala Water Company for the year ended 2019. As men as are of the opinion say yes. As many as are of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Clerk, proceed.
Order number 10, motion, adjournment of the House for the long recess.
And this one, I call upon the Minority Leader to move the motion of adjournment.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, that are aware that the first session of the Third Assembly commenced on 27th September 2022. Aware that pursuant to Standing Order number 25, Sub-Order 1, the Assembly approved an Assembly calendar on 18th of October 2022. And aware that the calendar provided for the sittings and recess for the House, acknowledging that Standing Order number 24, Sub-Order 1, provided that except for session commencing immediately after the general election, the regular sessions of the Assembly shall commence on the second Tuesday of February and terminate on the first Wednesday of December. Aware that during the first session of the Third Assembly, this Honorable House has transacted critical businesses such as swearing in of members, election of the Speaker, official opening of the Assembly, approval of appointment of nominees to the County Executive Committee, amongst other motions and reports. Further, aware that Standing Order number 25, Sub-Order 3, provide that on a day when the Assembly is scheduled to adjourn to a day other than the normal sitting day. In accordance with the Assembly calendar, the leader of majority party or the leader of the minority party or another member of the House Business Committee shall move a motion of adjournment which shall be debated for not more than 3 hours, after which the Assembly shall adjourn without question put. Honorable Speaker, I wish to move a motion that pursuant to Standing Order number 24 and Standing Order number 25, Sub-Order 3, this House adjourns for long recess from today, 7th December 2022, to resume on 14th February 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I now invite members to debate. Honorable Ellen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the motion that a minority leader has just finished reading. I think the House has been working very hard, and it's high time that we go home and relax and be with our family, with our constituents, and we come back when we are full of strength to work again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Helen. Honorable Alphonse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now being the approach of Christmas, and most of the honorable members, they have a Christmas mood. I think it will be wise for us to adjourn the House, and we start the long recess so that we can have time also to meet our electorates, because they also need us, and also we need to have time so that we may come back being fully prepared to work. So I support the motion fully. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Constance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I congratulate the mover of the motion. As the minority said, we adjourn. Honorable Speaker, it's a very right time for us to go to our areas. God has blessed us with rains. It is raining. We are preparing our shambas. And we must remember there is a lot of hunger. People have no food. We've been transversing here and there, distributing food. Some of us have gone dry because you have to give people food. And so this is the right time. We shall help our people, and we shall look into our shambas so that we can have some food existing in the future. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Thank you, honorable members. I now I invite the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to take this opportunity to thank the honorable members for the good sentiments that they have given on the matter before the House. Honorable Speaker, I just want to give 4 points. Point number 1, honorable members are family people. They have kids, they have parents, and they have relatives. So they also need time to go and stay with the family members. Honorable Speaker, again, honorable members need time to go and mingle with the electorate, the appointing authority, so that they can be, they feel that the elected member has not disappeared. So if we adjourn, we'll have such time. Item number 3, this adjournment or this recess will give honorable members time to identify needs within their wards, so that as we come next year, February 14th, we bring projects that are co-owned by the member and the electorate after they have consulted. Then finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to wish the assembly members, together with the staff, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And also take this opportunity to wish the electorate who appointed us to this house. I want also to wish them a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and request them, as they celebrate the Christmas and Happy New Year, let them also remember that January is coming and there will be need for school fees. So let's be very careful as we enjoy ourselves during the vacation. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader. And so, honorable members, I too wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, together with our electorates. Let's go and mingle with them, and as we meet February, we come up with motions and bills that are going to take this great count of Machakos to the next level. And now this house stands adjourned to the Tuesday, 14th February 2023 at 10 a.m. Thank you.